Hey, good morning from the office. Hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute. I mean, it's just everybody just relax. It's only 8 o'clock in the morning. I gotta regroup here. Let me turn this. Turn the volume off on that. Make sure the volume off on this phone. Hey, if you're new around here on BKP, just deal with me just a second. All right, I got that one ready. Oh my God, I got to take the mouthwash down, all of my little personal effects here. How come you didn't tell me what the table looked like? My God. No, you did not.
Yes, I did. I said, get the mouthwash down.
You did not.
I did.
That didn't happen.
I did.
Good morning, folks. We're ready. It's 8:01. Why don't you tell me when we're almost ready to go?
I counted you in 10 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute.
I do recall something like that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, folks, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We are North Georgia's only live. There's my glasses right behind the apples. I was looking for those. Only live online morning show. I have to get my comb. I put it over here.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you we're going to do a little cleaning today on that desk.
Okay, we'll see what happens. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. You can reach the show and get involved in the conversation at 706-889-9700, 706-889-9700. Also, you can send us an email at chief@fetchernews.com. That's chief@fetchernews.com. You can follow us on Twitter at FetcherNews, at FYNTV. Hey, do me a favor, will you? Can you make this happen? I got to get this show rolling. I got to get the show on the road. I've been working on some other things. We had a great show yesterday we're going to talk about. But could you do me a favor and take my post on Facebook, cut it up, and tweet it out like the Delta thing? Tag Casey Cagle, tag Nathan Deal, tag David Roston, tag You're It. You know, can you just chop all that up and push it out? I want to get everybody riled up a little bit this morning. We need. Now, folks, let's just say this, okay? Let's just say this. The $40 million tweet. Let's call it the $40 million tweet. Now, we got a lot to go over, right? We have the teacher that fired his weapon in a classroom. You know, Amanda, I'm reading this and it's not funny, okay? But I'm reading CNN of all places because I wanted to see how they would spin it, okay? And obviously they've already spun it to where just recently, just the day before, President Donald Trump has calls for allowing teachers to carry firearms. Whoa, 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 whoa. Teachers, is that a definitive number, like all teachers? Is that what it would sound like to you, Amanda? Are you in there, damn it? Oh,
they
sorry.
Specifically said who wants to carry a weapon and who is qualified to carry a weapon.
Right. But CNN. So here's the thing, right? This is not funny. So I'm reading the CNN report. No students are injured except for one. Okay. Do you know what the injury was?
No, I didn't hear that. What was the injury?
She twisted her ankle running down the hall. I swear to God, it's in the article. I'm like, no, you did not write. I mean, who is the journalist? Who is the reporter that says, oh, excuse me, was anybody injured? Well, we did have a twisted ankle in hallway 6. Does that count? You know what I mean?
Stop! Don't laugh.
I swear to God, I got it. It's on CNN. Like, oh, that is the only injury yesterday, but it did give MSNBC this morning an opportunity to say, just yesterday, coming on the heels of just yesterday, just days ago, the president calling for teachers to be able to use firearms. Now, I'm going to do a story to illustrate. Be careful cheering masses. We cheer too fast for some things. And we're gonna have Carla's Corner at 8:30. It's Thursday morning, right? It is Thursday.
Yep,
Yesterday we had special.
Carla at 8:30.
Okay, that was a yes or no. I mean, I don't need all the chit chat back and forth. Okay. Anyhow, so we got Carla's Corner at 8:30, but let's put up. I call this the $40 million tweet. Okay. Now, what I want everybody to relax today. Today needs to be a day of relaxation. It's raining. It's a little cool out. Now, Amanda, do you see the Delta tweet? Do you have that? Can you put that up on the screen for the viewers? There you go. Now, this is the $40 million tweet. Now, wait a minute. I have to give Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, I love politics. I know you think I'm a sicko. Oh, my God, if you think I'm a sicko, you may take my weapons. You got to get them weapons away from the sickos first. Anyhow, I love politics, right? Love it. I do. I don't care. I don't care what you think. I like it, all right? I enjoy it. And people get me wrong. Really? Yeah, they do quite often. They get me wrong. They don't understand that I study the politics to see what direction these people are going, not to agree with them. I have had people say, oh my God, you know, the way he sounds, he agrees with this. No, that's not it. That's not it. So Casey Cagle, Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, you have to give this guy his credit for stealing the news cycle. The guy steals the national news cycle. He steals the news cycle in Georgia. There's not a paper, an internet site. There's not a BKP out there, not another one. God hope there's not, right? There's nobody out there that did not talk about this guy standing up for the NRA and its members, right? So Casey Cagle steals the news cycle. He just happens to be running for governor of Georgia. So Delta is reaching out to the NRA. This is the $40 million. This is what you are led to believe on Bret Baier, Fox News, Nightly News. Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Casey Cagle, sent out a tweet today and pulled a $40 million tax break from Delta Airlines. And none other than New York is sending invitations. Delta, New York is open for business. I'm serious. I can't, who believes this crap? So, anyhow, Delta sends out a tweet and says, Delta is reaching out to the NRA to let them know we will be ending their contract for discounted rates through our group travel program. We will be requesting that the NRA remove our information from their websites, okay? Not so fast. That's $40 million. So the House of Representatives of the state of Georgia, they vote overwhelmingly for this tax break. But it's in a tax relief bill for you, the regular people of Georgia. Follow the setup, my friend. Stay with me on the setup. Now, I'm not saying Casey Cagle knew that Delta was going to float this tweet out. I'm not implying anything. I don't imply things. That's just not what I do for a living, imply something. But I am going to tell you this. Watch what happens here. It's like, I wish order me some of those magic props. You know what I'm saying, Amanda? Are you listening in there?
I'm listening.
I want some of them magical props, like, where you keep pulling the hanky out of the sleeve and the BS never stops coming. I don't want the real rabbit. Keep the rabbit, but give me the hat. I want magic props. Listen, here's the thing you want to pay attention to, the $40 million tweet. Now, what happens is the governor and the Speaker of the House, David Ralston, and the Senate, and they float out just 2 weeks ago, okay? They float out a couple weeks ago this big tax break plan for you, the citizens, the men and women that are going out to work in Georgia today. In fact, it's for the little man and the little lady and for your children, and they are going to double your tax credits, and it's just awesome, and they have a big thing down there at the bottom of the rotunda in Atlanta, where the big steps, the marble steps, and the governor comes, and Casey Cagle standing here, and State Senator Gooch and David Ralston, and they're all standing there, and they're just cheering, bravo, bravo for the little people in Georgia. But in that bill, for you, is the Delta tax breaks on jet fuel. Now, let me make a correction. That's what the media keeps saying. They don't say United Airlines tax breaks. They don't say FedEx tax breaks. They don't say UPS tax breaks. They say Delta, because Delta is the largest private employer in the state of Georgia, and they do drive that international airport. But, okay, nobody says on the news, because it doesn't have the appeal, that this is a UPS jet fuel tax break. This is a FedEx jet fuel, American Airlines, People Air. Well, they went out years ago, okay? Or Soul Plane. If Soul Plane lands there, they get a tax credit, all right? All right. If Snoop Dogg flies his private jet in, it could be, and he fuels up in Atlanta, anywhere in Georgia by means, Snoop gets a tax break. It's for everybody. It's a jet fuel tax break. Well, that happens to be in the bill for you, the little people. So Delta goes against the NRA. Now, Casey Cagle, Lieutenant Governor, put his picture up for me, please. Casey Cagle, the Lieutenant Governor, right, of Georgia, says, hey, you're not going to single out conservatives. We're just not going to get smacked around anymore. So let's go. Do I have the Cagle tweet? Do I have that? Did I send you that one? Yeah, send the Cagle tweet. So Delta's got the $40 million one. Here's Cagle. Casey Cagle, the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Georgia. I will kill any tax legislation that benefits Delta unless the company changes its position and fully reinstates its relationship with the NRA. Corporations cannot attack conservatives and expect us not to fight back. Well, it's time to fight back. Now, I understand what Casey Cagle is saying here, and I will agree. What if Delta is upset with the NRA? Delta should have come out and released this tweet saying, you know what? Considering what has taken place, we're going to end all group benefit programs. All. I don't care if you're a member of this, if you're a member of that, if you're a member of the PTA, the YAA, the LAA, whatever. I don't care. No more group rate discounts. We're just going to wipe them all out. We don't like it. We don't want to round it. Then what are you going to say? Hey, you know, they didn't pick on the... But they singled out. Now, Delta has an enormous amount of group rate discounts. I'm going to guess you can get an AARP group rate discount at Delta. Point being is Casey Cagle is not directly going after Delta. He is saying, hey, you're not going to just pick on conservatives and expect us to sit here and say, okay, while you're asking for a $40 million tax break. So that takes place. Now, let's try to keep this together. So, yesterday's crossover day. What does crossover mean? It means just that, right? Crossover. You have the Senate and you have the House. So whatever, this is the Georgia, stay focused on Georgia, okay? So whatever, it's crossover day. You hear, today's crossover day. They were there till midnight passing legislation to help you, the citizens of Georgia, okay? So yesterday's crossover day, right? So you got the state Senate, Georgia State Senate. They have bills, and you have the House of Representatives. Now, yesterday was the final day in the 2018 session for the Senate to pass theirs and the House to pass theirs and send them to each other. Here's my bill. I'm finished with it. It passed. Tell me what you think. Okay, that's crossover day in Georgia. So yesterday it happened. Guess what? Now, put up Speaker Ralston's picture. Now, I picked this out. Some people don't like when I say this. I actually like the Speaker. I get along with him. If I see him casually somewhere, I shake his hand, say, hello, Mr. Speaker, how are you? And exchange some pleasantries. I like the guy, all right? I understand reasons why some of you don't like the guy, and I'm not endorsing the guy, but still yet. Okay, so the reason I picked this out, it has to be that look of frustration Speaker Ralston has to have over this bill. A look of frustration because, see, the House Delta tax break bill, jet fuel tax break bill, let's not forget, quit saying Delta, BKP. So the House sent the bill over and passed it with the Delta, oh no, better not say that, right? The tax break in it for jet fuel. Sent it over to the Senate. Passed. Senate stripped it out. Get out of here. No tax break for you. It's like no soup for you, Delta. Boom, stripped it right out. They said it's over. Bada bing, bada boom. Darn. Russell's like, we passed it. We sent it over to the Senate. Now look what they've done. Now, just 2 days ago, the governor supposedly came into the Senate of Georgia. This is not on Fox and Friends, damn it. It's on BKP and Amanda. We'll just call it that, right? So anyhow, all right, so the governor of Georgia supposedly comes in 2 days ago and says, hey, if you don't put that back in and if you don't get your act together, I'm just get my impression of what the governor does. Hey, if you don't put that back in and you don't get your act together, I won't sign the legislation at all. To hell with it. Well, sources say that's not exactly what happened. So the governor come out yesterday and clarified and let people know he is not pleased. Governor Nathan Deal, please put his picture up. Lovely gentleman right there. The last time we'll have to put up with him in a session. Oh, prayers are answered, okay? So Nathan Deal is out, okay? Governor Nathan Deal of Georgia. So anyhow, so what happens is that we're told that's not exactly what happened. So he comes out yesterday, the governor of Georgia, and says, look, yeah, I'm kindly disappointed in the press conference. I wish things would have gone better for Delta. They're a good company, bada bing, bada boom, but I'm frustrated, but I will sign the bill. I'll sign the bill. And that would be, I think it's bill number, let me get down here. It's bill number 918. I will sign it. Because I'm not going to hold the good people of Georgia that deserve a tax break and deserve tax credits held responsible for special interests. But I tell you what, these political campaign tactics are got to stop. This has to stop. This is a campaign political stunt. So that's what the governor goes on to say. You know, I spoke to the Speaker of the House when I had words with the Speaker of the House before. Okay, I have an interview where I talked to the Speaker of the House before, okay, the session started. And I said, Mr. Speaker, with all of these senators, state senators, lieutenant governor, and so on and so forth running, will this not be a difficult session for you to, like, you know, with everybody doing political posturing, right? I asked him, I said, this may be the year, like, whew, you know, political posturing. So it has happened. It has happened. Georgia's legislative session has made national news, but not so fast. Not so fast. Maybe all of the politicians know that Delta will still get their tax break. Did they know all along? Much like, did Donald Trump know those damn Russians were going to hack the DNC? Did he read the emails in advance? But no, let's go back to Georgia. Did any of these people know in advance? See, it's not on the front page this morning. Donald Trump saying, due process. Oh my God, everybody's freaking out. If the guy's a sicko, take his gun, take his gun. I don't want to take his gun. He's a sicko. Oh my God, Trump and due process. My heart is hurting. No, Georgia's not on the front page. Delta's not on the front page. That has moved off. But all along, did some lawmakers know that Delta will still get possibly some sort of tax break? Now, here's my opinion. Let's see what happens. Amanda, pay attention to this. If you've ever paid attention to anything, because this is where you're going to get to come back and say, BKP, I don't want you to say that day. I don't want you to say, BKP, you were right. I want you to say, damn, BKP, how did you know this? You were right. I want the whole sentence. You got it? Are you listening?
I got you.
All right, well, tell the folks you're listening. They want to know, too. So here's the deal. In 1985, you look it up, folks, the FFA sent out a letter. And they passed a law or put a regulation or something in 1985 exempting jet fuel, not exempting jet fuel tax on aviation. But in 1985, you look it up. I don't have time to go into it. In 1985, okay, the FFA came out and said, your local sales tax revenue that you collect, and this is just a paraphrase, okay, that you collect on aviation fuel, has to go to, okay, revitalizing, repairing, restoring the airports. Because, see, this is a statewide. Because you're sitting in Gilmer County, where Gilmer County just got a big grant for their airport that came off aviation fuel tax. That's right. From the 1985. You are in Union County. You have a big brand new airport aviation fuel tax. 1985. Look it up. So, the state's fourth penny on sales tax should not be, according to the 1985 fuel aviation, okay, law or regulation out there, the fourth penny sales tax in Georgia should not be charged on aviation fuel, okay? The two pennies that Clayton splossed, I think there's 2 pennies, all right, that Clayton, all right, the Clayton County keeps crying how bad it will hurt their schools. Those 2 pennies should never be charged. My understanding should not be charged or collected for Clayton schools on aviation tax, fuel tax. That's my understanding. My understanding is that Delta has offered to make Clayton County whole on their eSPLOST, Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. My understanding is Delta has offered to make Clayton County whole, because if you read the articles, the liberal media wants to push how Clayton County kids will get hurt and how they will take the money from Clayton County students, and how Delta, the big ugly corporation, will get a tax break off the backs of our children in Clayton County. Read the whole deal. See, that's not on Fox and Friends this morning. That's not on Joe Scarborough this morning. That's not on there. But it's on here, okay? Now, my understanding, Delta has agreed with Clayton County to make them whole in anything the SPLOST would cost them in 2 years. But by all rights, they claim that by the 1984 fuel tax aviation that they should not be collecting. So the state can collect the 3 cents. The 3 cents, legally, my understanding is. All right? You ready? Because I'm not done. You better be paying attention. Because I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to tell you something. Did I say it's not on Fox and Friends? Yeah, it's not even on CNN. Okay? This story's past. It's past. It's over. The tricks have been done. They pulled everything out the sleeve. Casey Cagle got on all the news shows. Okay? Period. Here's the deal. The state of Georgia could and can legally, my understanding, I keep saying legally, or can by regulation or whatever, from the 1985 fuel tax, aviation fuel tax, they can collect the 3% off Delta, okay? But they can't collect the 4th penny, and they can't, and Clayton County or they can't collect, Clayton County is not supposed to be collecting SPLOST off the airport. That money is supposed to be going back, any taxable money is supposed to be going back into the airport or renovations for the airport. I'm not saying it's right. That's where I started. Don't say, well, BKP said this is the way it should be. No, I'm telling you what I'm hearing out here. I'm not saying it's right. Okay? So, here's what's going to happen, folks. There's this little thing of attaching language to a bill. There's a little thing that says attaching language to a bill at the last minute. This is a revenue bill. And so the language they stripped out for Delta can get reapplied into a revenue bill, and there's about 15 or 20 sitting down there at the House. One I want you to keep an eye on, the used car tax bill. That's what I'm calling it. The used cars tax bill. You're hearing the media scream that they raised taxes on used car sales, okay? So I can get the number for that. Keep an eye on that bill. Watch this get slipped into that bill. What's this got to do with Delta? Folks, it's the government. They do it all the time. A revenue bill. So watch what happens. Watch if under the guise of the 1985, I think it is 85, aviation fuel tax regulation or law that came down from the FFA, maybe a regulation from the FFA, watch them slide that in there, and don't call it a tax break on fuel. Watch the language get slid in there that the state of Georgia will apply all rules from the 1985 aviation fuel tax regulations from the FFA, and you're saying, okay, it didn't say Delta, okay, it didn't say give them jet fuel tax, okay, watch. Now, my bet and prediction is that the language that America thinks got stripped, the Georgians are cheering for, Georgia is cheering for, because Casey Cagle stood up the NRA, and I'm not saying he did it under any pretext, okay? But all that, watch and see what happens if this language does not get pushed onto another revenue bill, see if it gets reported, and see if it doesn't go to the governor's desk ASAP and get signed, and bada bing, bada boom, no fanfare. I don't think the governor will go out. You know, the governor likes to take some bills in the state of Georgia, Nathan Deal, take some bills out, and he likes to. We did the open carry bill down here at Kusawati Lake River. We've done several bill signings across the state. I do not look for Governor Nathan Deal to take this bill and decide to go somewhere and have great fanfare on where this bill gets signed. Watch and see if that does not come into play. Now, the last thing before we go to Carla's Corner, and I wanted to do this because if you're watching nationally, I don't want you to get caught off guard and go to cheering for the hard-nosed conservatives in Georgia too fast. Just because of that. Now, my final comment, because I have to go to break. Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle won the battle. Stay with me. He won the battle. Republican primary battle. He won that. Okay? If Amazon's HQ2 decides to go somewhere else, not Atlanta, and even does not even make a statement about Atlanta, all of the media, the liberal media, AJC, will immediately run stories that Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle's tweet and stance against the NRA cost Georgians 50,000 jobs and Amazon's HQ2. Let me tell you where Georgia is, whether you like it or not, rural Georgia, where we are at on these corporations coming to Georgia. It's real simple. I'm a firm believer that rural Georgia has made a decision that these corporations that come to Georgia need to fit into Georgia. Georgia does not need to fit into their corporation. That's my opinion. But the last thing is if Amazon goes somewhere else, immediately they'll write the stories that Casey Cagle cost them with the Delta tweet in the NRA. Okay? And that will be a plus for Casey Cagle. Right now, in his campaign on the Republican primary side, there's two things that he could really benefit from. A, what he did where Delta's concerned, and B, if Amazon HQ2 says no to Georgia, Casey Cagle will be very tough to beat, my opinion. But is that the battle? And what happens when the general election war comes about? I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live online morning show. I've said all that. I know it's the myth. I know it's the legend. I know you haven't seen her in weeks. But right after these commercials, oh, by the way, it's March. It just dawned on me. March, clover, green, all this. And Carla's going to tell us everything happening in March in North Georgia right after these messages. Take us to break.